Gunsmoke, Book 1, Chapter 3, Word of Honor, Extended Version. The rain had come hard and mean that week. It didn't bless the prairie. It punished it. For 3 straight days, Dodge City was a swamp of mud, smoke, and short tempers. The streets were empty except for stray horses, water barrels, and the occasional man who didn't know enough to stay inside. Marshal Matt Dillon stood under the overhang of his office, coat slick with rain, hat dripping steady. He stared down Front Street, where the lamps burned low and the wind howled like something wild trying to get back in. "Looks like the Lord forgot to turn the sky off," said Chester, shuffling out behind him, boots squelching in the mud. Matt smirked slightly. "He'll remember." Just taking his time, Chester offered a damp envelope. "Telegraph came. Couldn't read it much, but I reckon it's trouble." Matt unfolded it, his thumb smearing wet ink. The words were short, sharp, like a bullet written down. "Joe Stanrick arrested for murder of Ben Rickett. Hold for trial in Dodge." Marshal Ritter, Abilene Matt read it twice, jaw tight. Ben Rickett, rancher, Circle J, up north Doc Adams, who'd been drying his coat by the stove, looked up. Rickett? Had more cattle than manners. Heard his foreman was Joe Stanrick. Quiet sort, didn't drink, didn't talk. He tamped his pipe. "They're saying he shot Rickett in cold blood." Matt folded the telegram slowly. "We'll see what kind of blood it was." The prisoner, by noon, the stage rolled in slow through the rain, wheels whining, horses steaming. 2 deputies stepped off, one grizzled, one too young for the lines he wore, and between them a man in irons, Joe Stanrick, tall, lean, face cut by weather and work. His eyes didn't wander, didn't plead. They just held steady, the way a man looks when he's already heard every bad thing there is to hear. Matt met him halfway. "You Joe Stanrick?" "Yes, sir." "You know what you're accused of?" "I do." "You do it?" Stanrick paused. The deputies tensed. The pause of an honest man is always longer. "No, Marshal." "I didn't." The older deputy snorted. "He's had that story since we put the irons on." Matt looked at him. "And he'll keep it till I prove otherwise." He turned to Stanrick. "Come on, let's get you out of the rain." The cell was clean, if not kind. Matt locked the door with the usual click, then leaned against the bars. "You had a gun on you?" "Yes, sir." "Everyone on a ranch does. Was it fired?" "No, sir." "But they found it near the body. And you don't know who did it?" "If I did, I'd have told you already." Matt studied him for a while. Rain drummed on the roof, steady as a heartbeat. "You give your word you didn't do it?" he asked quietly. Stanrick's eyes lifted, calm but solid. "On my life, Marshal. My word's all I've got left." Matt nodded slowly. "Then hold on to it. Some men lose that before they lose anything else." He turned the key in the lock, but instead of pocketing it, he left it on the desk. Nightfall and questions. That evening the rain turned to fog. Matt crossed the street to the Long Branch Saloon, boots heavy with mud. Inside, lamps glowed gold against the haze of smoke and damp. Kitty Russell stood behind the bar, drying glasses that would be wet again before long. "Marshal," she said, smiling tired, "you look like a man who's been outwitted by the weather." "Weather wins most fights," he said. "It doesn't need to aim." She poured him coffee, black, hot, bitter enough to taste like honesty. "Chester says you've got a new guest," she said. "Yeah, Joe Stanrick." "I heard that name," Kitty murmured. "Heard he killed a rancher." "That's what they say." "You believe it?" Matt stared into his cup. "I believe a man's tone more than his story." his tones clean. Kitty tilted her head. And what if the tone lies better than the story? Then I'll find out soon enough, he said. She smiled. You always do. Promises and sleep. Near midnight, the storm died for good. Dodge City slept, or pretended to. Inside the jail, Matt sat at his desk, lamp low, eyes on the fire. Stanrick was awake, sitting on the edge of the cot, wrists resting on his knees. Marshal, he said after a while, you ever had to prove something no one would believe? Most days, Matt said. Then you know how I feel. Matt nodded. You got anyone who can speak for you? Ben Ricketts' wife, Stanrick said, but she's grieving. And grief don't talk to justice. The silence stretched. Outside, a coyote cried far off, a thin, lonely sound swallowed by distance. Matt leaned back in his chair. You said you gave your word you didn't do it. Why'd you say that? Stanrick looked down. Because out here, a man's word is all he's got. You break that, and there's nothing left worth burying. Matt nodded. The words sat heavy in the room. The escape morning came gray and quiet, too quiet. Chester burst through the door, eyes wide. Mr. Dillon! He's gone. Joe Stanrick's gone. Matt was already up, hand on his gun, gaze flicking to the desk. The key was gone. He said nothing for a long moment. Then, get the horses. They found his trail north, past the river bend. The ground was soft enough to hold a hoofprint, but wet enough to erase it fast. By noon, they found a fire, low, smoking, and beside it, Joe Stanrick. He didn't reach for his gun. He didn't move at all. Matt dismounted slowly. You know what happens now. Stanrick looked up. Yes, sir. I hang, but not before I keep my word. Matt frowned. You ran from jail. That's not the way to clear a name. I didn't run, Marshal. I rode to prove it. He pulled a wet letter from his coat, folded but legible. Ben wrote this the day before he died. He said someone was threatening him over his land, someone with a scar under his chin. Matt took the letter, read it carefully. The signature was shaky, the ink half gone, but it was real. You could have shown me this before, Matt said quietly. Stanrick shrugged. I didn't think anyone'd believe a murderer. Matt looked out across the plain. Mount up. You're coming back with me, not as a prisoner, but as a man keeping his word. The truth. Back in Dodge, Matt went straight to the Long Branch. The place was half full, just enough witnesses for what was about to happen. At the table near the wall sat Clay Reese, Ben Ricketts' foreman. Big man, scar under his chin. Matt dropped the letter on the table. You recognize this handwriting? Reese glanced once. Can't say I do. It's Ben Ricketts. Says a man with your scar threatened him. Reese laughed, but it was hollow. Ben said a lot of things. He was drunk half the time Matt leaned closer. Funny. Doc Adams says that scar of yours looks fresh, like from a branding iron. The room went quiet. Reese's hand twitched toward his belt and stopped when Matt's Colt cleared leather. Don't, Matt said softly. Not unless you're faster than regret. Reese's jaw clenched. Then he sagged, hands rising. All right. He was going to sell the land. I told him not to. Said I'd stop him. Didn't mean to kill him. Matt nodded to Chester. Get the irons. Kitty exhaled from behind the bar. Matt, she said softly, half relief, half disbelief. He turned to Stanrick, who stood by the door, free of chains, but still wearing that look men get when the world finally lets them breathe again. You kept your word, Matt said. Stanrick nodded once. You did too. The morning after dawn broke clear for the first time in a week. The air smelled of wet sage and quiet promises. Matt leaned against the post outside his office, coffee steaming in his hand. Chester chewed a biscuit nearby. "So, what happens to him now?" "Stanrick? He's free. You reckon he'll stick around?" "No," Matt said. "He's got no reason to." They watched as Joe Stanrick rode out of town, the rising sun catching the back of his coat. Doc Adams stepped out, pipe lit, coat flapping. "You ever notice, Matt, how men who keep their word never have much else left?" Matt smiled faintly. "Maybe that's the price." Across the street, Kitty stood in the saloon doorway, arms folded, watching. "Morning, Marshal," she called. "Morning, Kitty. Guess the storm's over." "Guess it is." "Until the next one," she said. Matt nodded. "There's always a next one." He turned to watch the horizon, where the sky stretched wide and clean, the kind of sky that forgives everything except lies. Out here, he thought, a man's word is his weather, and it changes everything. End of Chapter 3. Word of Honor Extended.